15 years. That's how long it had been since graduation. And for Connor Hayes, every single one of those years had been building toward this moment. The moment he could finally show everyone exactly how far he'd fallen. The reunion invitation sat on Nathan Price's kitchen counter like a landmine. His daughter Lily, now 9 years old, had found it in the mailbox and brought it inside with the kind of innocent curiosity that 9-year-olds possess. "Dad, what's a reunion?" she asked, her dark curls bouncing as she tilted her head. Nathan wiped grease from his hands, always grease, occupational hazard of being a mechanic, and picked up the cream-colored envelope. The moment he saw the return address, his stomach twisted. Connor Hayes, class president, most likely to succeed, and Nathan's personal tormentor for 4 years of high school. Inside, the invitation was predictably lavish. Gold lettering, expensive cardstock, venue at the Riverside Manor, the most exclusive location in town. But it was the handwritten note at the bottom that made Nathan's jaw clench. "Nathan, really hoping you can make it. Would love to see what you've been up to all these years. I'm sure you have some interesting stories to share with everyone." Connor. The condescension practically dripped off the page. "What does it say, Daddy?" Lily climbed onto the counter stool, swinging her legs. "Just an invitation to see some people I went to school with." "Like a party?" "Sort of." "Are they nice people?" Nathan paused. How do you explain to a 9-year-old that some people find entertainment in others' pain? "Not all of them were nice, sweetheart." Lily frowned, her mother's expression crossing her young face. Even 7 years after Sophie's death, Nathan still saw her in every gesture Lily made. "Then why would you go?" "That's a very good question." Nathan was about to toss the invitation in the trash when his phone rang. The name on the screen made him smile despite everything. Dr. Catherine Wells. They'd been working together for 8 months now. She was the CEO of Welltech Medical Innovations, and he'd somehow become her go-to person for solving impossible mechanical problems in their surgical equipment division. It had started with a chance encounter at a coffee shop, a conversation about a technical problem she was facing, and Nathan sketching a solution on a napkin. Now he consulted for her company 3 days a week while still running his small auto repair shop. "Nathan, I need your brain," Catherine said without preamble. "Our lead engineer just quit, and we have a presentation to the FDA in 2 weeks. The prototype they were building has a fatal flaw in the joint mechanism, and nobody can figure out how to fix it." "What kind of joint?" "Robotic surgical arm. The rotation mechanism keeps failing under pressure." Nathan's mind was already working through possibilities. "Send me the specs. I'll take a look." "You're a lifesaver. By the way, are you free Friday night? I have this event I need to attend, and I could really use a friendly face." Nathan glanced at the reunion invitation. "What kind of event?" "Corporate thing. Boring speeches, decent food. But I promise to make it worth your time. We can talk about that consulting contract we discussed, the one where you'd come on full-time as our Chief Innovation Officer." Chief Innovation Officer. 3 years ago, Nathan had been eating ramen for dinner so Lily could have proper meals. Now he was being offered an executive position at a multi-million-dollar medical technology company. "I'll check with my neighbor about watching Lily. Bring her. My daughter Maya will be there, she's 10. They can keep each other company while the adults pretend to be important." After hanging up, Nathan looked at the reunion invitation again. Connor had no idea. None of them did. They still saw the broken young widower counting change at the grocery store, the guy whose car broke down in the school parking lot, the single dad wearing second-hand clothes and working 3 jobs. "Dad." Lily's voice brought him back. "You have that thinking face, the one you get when you're solving problems." Nathan smiled. "You know me too well, Lil. Are you going to the party?" "I don't know yet." "Why?" Lily shrugged. "Mommy used to say that you shouldn't run away from things that scare you. You should walk toward them and show them you're not afraid." Nathan's throat tightened. Sophie had said exactly that many times. She'd been fearless in life, right up until the drunk driver took that fearlessness away forever. Your mom was very smart. So are you, Daddy. That's why people call you all the time to fix things they can't figure out. Out of the mouths of children. Nathan picked up his phone and texted back a response to the reunion invitation. I'll be there. Nathan. Connor Hayes surveyed the Riverside Manor ballroom with satisfaction. Everything was perfect. The banner welcoming back the class of 2009, the photo boards showing everyone in their yearbook pictures, the open bar he'd personally funded. All of it designed to show everyone how successful he'd become. But really, if he was honest with himself, it was all designed for one person. Nathan Price. Connor had been planning this reunion for 2 years. Not because he wanted to reconnect with old friends, but because he'd heard through the grapevine that Nathan was still struggling, still working that pathetic repair shop, still barely scraping by as a single father. And Connor wanted everyone to see it. Everything looks great, babe, his wife Madison said, appearing at his elbow with a glass of wine. Though I still don't understand why you're so obsessed with this Nathan person showing up. I'm not obsessed. I just think it'll be interesting. Madison gave him a look. They'd been married for 3 years, and she could read him like a book. You've mentioned him at least 50 times this month. That's obsession. He represents something. The cautionary tale. The guy who had potential but couldn't handle real life when it got hard. His wife died in a car accident, Connor. He was 23 with a 2-year-old daughter. That's not couldn't handle it. That's survival. Connor waved this away. Everyone has problems. Some people rise above them. Some people let them define their entire existence. Madison set down her wine glass with deliberate precision. Sometimes I wonder if I really know you at all. She walked away, leaving Connor alone with his perfectly planned event and his increasingly hollow justifications. Meanwhile, across town, Nathan was having second thoughts. You look very handsome, Daddy, Lily said from his bedroom doorway. She was already in her pajamas, ready for Mrs. Chun from next door to come babysit. Nathan looked at himself in the mirror. The suit Catherine had insisted he buy for business meetings fit him perfectly. His hair was cut properly for the first time in years. He looked like a different person from the exhausted mechanic in stained coveralls. But he felt like an imposter. Lily, do you think it's wrong to want to prove something to people who were mean to you? Lily considered this with the seriousness she applied to all of life's big questions. Teacher says that the best way to respond to mean people is to be so happy they can't make you sad anymore. Your teacher is very wise. But also, Lily added, I think it's okay to show mean people that they were wrong about you, as long as you're not being mean back. Nathan knelt down to her level. How did you get so smart? Good genes, Lily said with a grin that was pure Sophie. The doorbell rang, Mrs. Chun arriving. As Nathan kissed Lily goodbye, his phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. Cars outside, ready to show them who Nathan Price really is. Nathan took a deep breath. Ready. The sleek black Mercedes pulled up to the Riverside Manor just as the reunion was hitting its peak energy. Connor had positioned himself near the windows, watching for Nathan's inevitable arrival in whatever beat-up vehicle he'd managed to keep running. So when the Mercedes stopped and the driver opened the rear door, Connor paid it no attention. Some other successful classmate arriving fashionably late. Then Nathan stepped out. Connor's bourbon stopped halfway to his lips. This wasn't the Nathan he remembered. Gone were the tired eyes and slouched shoulders. This man stood tall in a suit that probably cost more than Connor's car payment. His movements were confident, assured. Then she emerged. Dr. Catherine Wells was a name Connor recognized. Everyone in the business community did. Her company was pioneering surgical robotics, and she'd been featured in Forbes last month as one of the 30 under 40 revolutionizing medical technology. She was brilliant, beautiful, and worth approximately $200 million. And she was holding Nathan Price's hand. The room noticed. Conversations died mid-sentence. Phones came out. Someone whispered, "Is that really Nathan?" Another voice, "Who's the woman?" A third, "Oh my God, that's Catherine Wells." The Catherine Wells. Connor's mind raced. This had to be a setup. Maybe Nathan hired an actress. Maybe this was some elaborate prank. But the way Catherine looked at Nathan, the familiarity in their movements, the casual intimacy of her adjusting his tie, that couldn't be faked. Nathan and Catherine entered the ballroom together. Every eye in the room tracked their movement. Nathan, Sarah Martinez, former cheerleader and one of the nicer people from their class, rushed over. "Oh my God, you look amazing. And is this your?" "This is Catherine," Nathan said simply. "Catherine, this is Sarah. We were in drama club together." "The infamous drama club," Catherine smiled. "Nathan's told me stories." "Good stories, I hope?" Sarah laughed nervously, clearly starstruck. "The best kind. The ones where he's humble about his talents and generous about everyone else's." Connor finally found his legs and crossed the room, his entourage of former football buddies trailing behind. Marcus Chen, who'd posted that photo of Nathan counting change at the grocery store 5 years ago. Jessica Walsh, who'd started rumors about Nathan being an unfit father. Tommy Brooks, who'd made jokes about Sophie's death before realizing she'd actually died. "Nathan Price," Connor said, forcing enthusiasm he didn't feel. "You actually made it." Nathan's eyes met Connor's, and in that moment, Connor saw something he'd never seen before. Complete lack of fear. Not anger, not resentment. Just calm acknowledgement. "Hello, Connor. Thanks for the invitation. And this is..." Connor extended his hand to Catherine. "Dr. Catherine Wells," she said, her handshake firm and brief. "You must be Connor Hayes. Nathan's mentioned you." "Has he?" Connor tried to read her expression. "All good things, I hope." "He said you were class president and voted most likely to succeed." "That's quite an accomplishment." The words were polite, but something in her tone suggested she found the whole concept of high school superlatives absurd. "So, Nathan," Marcus stepped forward, phone obviously recording. "What have you been up to all these years? Last I heard, you were still at that repair shop." "I still own the shop," Nathan said easily. "Mitchell Automotive. We specialize in foreign cars and custom restorations." "Oh," Marcus's face fell slightly. "So you're still a mechanic?" Catherine stepped in smoothly. "He's being modest. Nathan is also the Chief Innovation Officer at Welltech Medical. He's revolutionized our surgical robotics division. The patent applications alone are worth about $40 million. The silence that followed was deafening. Jessica Walsh found her voice first. "Wait, you're telling me Nathan, our Nathan, is some kind of medical technology genius? Biomechanical engineering genius, technically," Catherine corrected. "Though he doesn't have formal training, which makes it even more impressive. Last month, he solved a problem that teams from MIT and Stanford couldn't crack. It was just a matter of looking at it differently," Nathan said, uncomfortable with the attention. Connor felt the room shifting, the narrative he'd carefully constructed crumbling. This was supposed to be Nathan's humiliation, not his triumph. "How did you two meet?" Connor asked, trying to regain control of the situation. Catherine and Nathan exchanged a look. Then Nathan spoke. 3 years ago, I was having the worst day of my life. 3 years ago," Nathan continued, his voice steady, "I was at rock bottom. It was Lily's 6th birthday. I'd promised her a cake from the bakery she loved. But when I went to pay, my card was declined. The electricity bill had auto-drafted a day early, and I didn't have enough for both." The room was silent now. People had stopped pretending not to listen. "I was standing in that bakery, trying not to cry in front of my daughter when this woman," he nodded at Catherine, "stepped up and paid for the cake." Catherine smiled at the memory. "You tried to refuse." "Of course I did. I was proud. Probably too proud. But Catherine insisted, and then she did something that changed my life. I asked him what he did for a living, Catherine said. And when he said he was a mechanic, I mentioned that I had this problem with a piece of equipment at my company. The engineers couldn't figure it out. I was just making conversation. Really? But I asked her to describe it, Nathan continued, and I realized I'd seen something similar in a transmission system. So I drew her a sketch on a napkin, showing how she could modify the mechanism. That sketch, Catherine's voice filled with warmth, solved a $10 million problem. The prototype we'd been working on for 2 years was failing because of a design flaw that Nathan identified in 5 minutes. Marcus lowered his phone. Jessica had tears in her eyes. Even Tommy looked uncomfortable. I tracked Nathan down the next day, Catherine said. Showed up at his shop and offered him a consulting contract. He almost didn't take it. I thought it was charity, Nathan admitted. I thought she was just being nice because she felt sorry for me. I was being nice because you're brilliant, Catherine corrected. The poverty part was irrelevant. The genius part was essential. Connor's face had gone pale. This wasn't how the story was supposed to go. So you've been consulting for her company? Sarah asked. For the past 3 years, Nathan confirmed. Started 1 day a week, then 3, then full-time 6 months ago. I still run the shop on weekends. I love it too much to give it up completely. And the Chief Innovation Officer title? Someone called from the back. Nathan looked embarrassed. That's recent. Catherine offered it last month. I'm still getting used to it. He earned it, Catherine said firmly. Every patent, every breakthrough, every solution that everyone else said was impossible. He earned all of it. Connor finally found his voice. That's incredible, Nathan. Really. Who would have thought? The words came out wrong. He heard it the moment they left his mouth. The condescension, the surprise that Nathan could have succeeded. Nathan heard it too. Who would have thought that a struggling single dad could be good at something besides changing oil? Is that what you mean, Connor? No, because that's what you thought, wasn't it? That's why you invited me here. To show everyone the cautionary tale. The guy who couldn't hack it in the real world. The room was painfully silent. You used to drive past my shop, Nathan continued, his voice calm but carrying to every corner of the room. Every Thursday, like clockwork, you'd slow down, look in, make sure I saw you in your BMW. Make sure I knew you were doing better than me. Connor's face burned. He had done exactly that. And that time at the grocery store when I was counting change for diapers, you took a photo, posted it online. Some people peak in high school, you wrote. Got 300 likes. Marcus looked at the floor. He'd been the one to share it with the crying laughing emoji. But here's what you didn't know, Connor. What none of you knew. Nathan's voice softened. That day at the grocery store, I had $43 to last 2 weeks. Lily needed diapers and medicine. She had an ear infection. I was doing math in my head, figuring out if I could afford both. And you took that moment, that private moment of a father trying to take care of his daughter, and turned it into entertainment. Jessica Walsh was openly crying now. Nathan, I'm so sorry. I shared that photo. I laughed. I didn't think. You didn't think about the fact that my wife had died 18 months earlier. That I was 23 years old, alone with a toddler, working 60 hours a week, and still couldn't keep the lights on. You just saw a funny photo opportunity. We were young, Tommy offered weakly. We didn't understand. You were old enough to know better, Catherine said, her voice like ice. You were all in your mid-20s. That's not young. That's old enough to have basic human empathy. Nathan held up a hand. Catherine, it's okay. It's not okay, Nathan. These people mocked you at your lowest point. They turned your grief and struggle into a joke. I know, but I'm not angry anymore. Nathan looked around the room. For a long time, I was furious, humiliated. There were nights I didn't sleep because I was so angry about it. So why come here? Sarah asked quietly. Why face all of us again? Nathan smiled. Because my daughter asked me a question last week. She asked why I never talked about high school or my old friends. And I realized I'd been teaching her to hide from hard things, to let shame define her. I didn't want that for her. He looked at Connor. You invited me here to humiliate me, to prove that I was still that desperate guy counting change. But I came here to prove something to myself, that I don't need to hide anymore. That I'm not ashamed of having struggled, because struggling made me who I am. Connor stood there, feeling the weight of 60 pairs of eyes on him. Madison was watching from across the room, her expression unreadable. Connor started, then stopped. What could he say? That he was sorry? That he didn't mean it? But he had meant it. He'd spent 15 years feeling superior to Nathan, using Nathan's struggles to make himself feel successful. I have something to say, Catherine announced, stepping forward. I've been listening to all of this, and I need you all to understand something. Nathan didn't just solve one problem for my company. He solved 18 major engineering challenges in 3 years. Problems that cost us millions in development, that had entire teams stumped. She pulled out her phone, projecting images onto the wall screen that someone had set up for the reunion slideshow. Technical diagrams filled the wall. This is a joint mechanism for robotic surgery. Before Nathan, it failed 40% of the time under pressure. After Nathan's redesign, 0 failures in 10,000 test cycles. This modification will save approximately 2,000 lives per year once it's approved. The room stared at the complex diagrams. This is a stabilization system for a surgical drill. Too much vibration was causing complications. Nathan saw it and said, use the same principle as a car's shock absorber, but in reverse. Brilliant. Simple. Something no one else thought of. She swiped through more images. This. Every single one solved by Nathan. Each one worth millions in patents and licensing. But more importantly, each one will directly improve or save human lives. Catherine turned to face Connor directly. You know what Nathan told me when I offered to make him a millionaire with these patents? He said he wanted the money to go into a foundation for single parents. Every cent beyond what he needed to provide for Lily went into helping other people in the situation he'd been in. That's not, Nathan started. It's true, and you know it, Catherine interrupted. The Price Foundation has helped 200 single parents with rent assistance, childcare, and car repairs over the past year, all funded by Nathan's patent royalties. Connor felt sick. Not just embarrassed, actually physically ill. So when you invited Nathan here to mock him, Catherine concluded, you invited someone who's done more good in 3 years than most people do in a lifetime. Someone who took his worst moments and turned them into his greatest strength. Someone who had every reason to become bitter and cruel, but chose kindness instead. She let that sink in. Then, more gently, Nathan told me not to come tonight. He said he could handle it alone. But I insisted because I wanted to meet the people who tried to break him. I wanted to see for myself what kind of people found entertainment in another person's suffering. The room was silent. Several people were crying. Marcus had put his phone away entirely, looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Finally, Connor spoke. Nathan, I don't know what to say except that I'm sorry. Truly sorry. You deserved better. You always did. Nathan studied him for a moment. Do you remember sophomore year, when I won that engineering competition? The one for designing a more efficient engine. Connor nodded, confused by the change in direction. You came up to me after and said, nice job, Price. I always knew you were smart. It was the only nice thing you said to me in 4 years. I held on to that moment for a long time. Why? Because it proved that you weren't entirely bad. That somewhere in you was someone capable of recognizing good in other people. I've been hoping that person would come back. Connor's eyes filled. I don't know if he ever really existed. I think I've been performing my whole life, playing the part of the successful guy, the popular guy, using other people's failures to prop up my own success. Then stop performing, Nathan said simply. Start being real. It's terrifying at first, but it's also the only way to actually live. Madison appeared at Connor's side, taking his hand. I've been telling him that for 3 years. Your wife is smart, Catherine observed. She is, Connor agreed. Smarter than me, definitely. Nathan checked his watch. I should go. Lily's waiting up. She wanted to hear all about tonight. Wait, Sarah stepped forward. Can I just say something? To everyone. Nathan nodded. Sarah turned to face the crowd. We all participated in this. Maybe not as directly as Connor, but we all saw what was happening and didn't stop it. We shared the photos. We laughed at the jokes. We let Nathan's struggle become our entertainment. And that says something terrible about who we were. She looked at Nathan. I can't speak for everyone, but I'm ashamed. And I'm grateful that you came tonight, because seeing you now, seeing who you became despite us, that's a gift we don't deserve. We're all works in progress, Nathan said. I'm still figuring out who I am. The difference is I stopped letting other people's opinions define it. As Nathan and Catherine turned to leave, Connor called out, Nathan? Nathan paused. Your daughter, Lily. If she ever needs anything. If you ever need anything. I mean it. Nathan considered this. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. Actually, there is something. My shop could use some help with marketing. You're good at that kind of thing, right? Maybe you could consult. I can't pay much, but I'll do it for free, Connor said immediately. Please, let me do something right. Not for free, for fair wages. I don't accept charity, remember? Connor laughed, a real laugh this time. Fair wages it is. The dedication ceremony for the Nathan Price Center for Single Parents was held on a crisp October morning. The building was modest but well-designed, with a childcare facility, job training center, and emergency assistance office. Lily, now 14, stood at the podium, reading from her prepared speech. My dad doesn't like attention. He's probably embarrassed that I'm telling all these stories about him. But someone needs to, because he never will. The crowd chuckled. Nathan, sitting in the front row next to Catherine, his wife of 2 years now, did indeed look embarrassed. When I was little, I asked my dad why we were poor. He said we weren't poor, we were rich in the things that mattered. I didn't understand that then, but now I do. Lily looked at her father. Dad taught me that being rich isn't about money. It's about choosing kindness when cruelty would be easier. It's about helping others even when you need help yourself. It's about building up instead of tearing down. She gestured to the building behind her. This center exists because my dad remembered what it felt like to be desperate. And instead of forgetting once he succeeded, he decided to help others who were still there. In the crowd, Connor Hayes sat with Madison and their twin 5-year-olds. He'd spent the last 5 years learning to be a better person, working with Nathan at the shop on weekends, volunteering at the center, and slowly rebuilding his sense of self-worth through service rather than superiority. Next to him sat Marcus, Jessica, Tommy, and a dozen others from that reunion 5 years ago. They'd all found their way back, drawn by Nathan's example. My dad's story isn't about revenge, Lily continued. It's not about proving people wrong or making anyone feel bad. It's about transformation, about taking your worst moments and turning them into your greatest strengths. She smiled. Someone once tried to humiliate my dad by inviting him to show off his struggles. Instead, Dad showed everyone what real strength looks like. And in the process, he helped everyone else become better too. After the ceremony, as people mingled and toured the facility, Connor approached Nathan. You know what the craziest part of all this is? Connor said. What's that? That reunion was supposed to be my moment of triumph. I planned it for 2 years. And instead, It became the moment my entire life changed direction. Nathan laughed. Karma works in mysterious ways. It wasn't karma. It was you. You could have destroyed me that night. You had every right to. Instead, you offered me a chance to be better. Everyone deserves a second chance, Connor. You taught me that. How did I teach you that? I was awful to you. You were. But you were also the one person who, for 5 seconds sophomore year, acknowledged that I had value. You probably don't remember it, but I did. And I figured if you could see my worth once, maybe you could see it again. Connor's eyes filled. I don't deserve your kindness. Good thing kindness isn't about deserving, then. They stood there, two men who'd started as enemies and become something like friends, watching as single parents toured a facility designed to help them avoid the struggles Nathan had endured. By the way, Nathan said casually, Catherine and I are expanding the foundation. We're going to need someone to run the operational side. Someone who understands business and marketing, but also understands why this work matters. Connor looked at him. Are you offering me a job? Fair wages, remember? And it'll be hard work. But if you're interested, I'm interested. Definitely interested. Catherine appeared, carrying their 1-year-old son, Thomas. Are you recruiting my husband's former bully to work for us? Former bully, reformed friend, future colleague. Nathan corrected. Connor's been volunteering here for 3 years. He knows the work. Plus, I need the redemption arc, Connor added. My kids are going to ask about my life someday. I want to have better stories to tell than, I own some car dealerships and was kind of a jerk. Then welcome aboard, Catherine said. Fair warning. Nathan is an impossible boss. He actually expects you to care about people. I'm learning, Connor said. Slowly, but I'm learning. As the sun set on the dedication ceremony, Nathan found himself on the building's balcony, looking out at the parking lot where families were loading into cars, hope on their faces. Lily joined him, now tall enough to rest her chin on his shoulder. You did good, Dad. We did good, Lil. This was always about you, too. Making sure other kids didn't have to watch their parents struggle the way you did. I don't remember it being that bad. That's because I tried to shield you from the worst of it. I know. But Dad, even when it was bad, I never doubted you loved me. That's the thing those people at your reunion didn't understand. You were never failing, you were fighting. And that made all the difference. Nathan pulled her close. When did you get so wise? Good genetics. Plus, I had an excellent teacher. Later that night, as Nathan and Catherine put Thomas to bed and said goodnight to Lily, Nathan found himself thinking about that reunion 5 years ago. Connor had meant it as humiliation, but it had become transformation, not just for Nathan, but for everyone involved. Some stories end with revenge. The best ones end with redemption. But the very best ones, they don't end at all. They just keep rippling outward, touching more lives, creating more opportunities, spreading more kindness. Until one day, you look around and realize that the garden you planted in your darkest moment has bloomed into something beautiful. Something that will keep blooming long after you're gone. And that's worth more than any revenge could ever be. If this story reminded you that your struggles don't define you, your response to them does, then remember, the people who try to make you feel small are usually the ones who feel smallest themselves. Your job isn't to make them feel worse. It's to bloom so brightly that you remind them they can bloom too. Success isn't about the car you drive or the title you hold. It's about the lives you touch, the grace you show when life gets hard, and the kindness you extend even to those who showed you none. Be someone's Nathan. Choose kindness. Build others up. You never know whose life you're about to change. You never know who might change yours.